Coach Hue Jackson in the house. What's happening, Coach?
What's going on? How you doing, brother?
Hey, listen, it's that time of year. We're laying around, around the couch, doing our duties as husbands, right?
Oh yeah.
During the off season. But with all the stuff that went on last week, a couple weeks back with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, who not the best person to bring on? You being the coach with the Bengals and being coach with the Browns, very familiar with the Steelers and their organization and how they do things, right?
Hey, you can't remember. You don't forget now. It's at the Baltimore Ravens too now.
That's it. Made Joe Flacco a name, right? Yes, sir. So you brought him to mainstream. So we're gonna talk about the Steelers today, and we're gonna bring out the one and only. Okay, played 11 seasons, first team All Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler, and 1990 All Decade Team player. All right, here we go. Our guest for today's show is the one and only Levon Kirkland
Oh
in the
man, they
house.
get no better than that now. Come on.
Oh man, thank you guys for having me on the show. Coach Jackson, what's going on with
No,
you?
Mike, you just brought greatness in here. Look, I don't need to be on here tonight. Get me out of here.
No, you're right where you belong, Coach. You are definitely
this guy's a tackling machine, man.
I'm telling you, this boy's a dangerous guy. The original 99. That's why I had to bring him on the show. You know what I'm saying?
And when Marvin Lewis talks about Levon Kirkland, I stand up.
That's it.
You're really flattering. I can see you need to be in college, Coachy, man.
I've tried that.
Way a parent to withstand what you're bringing to the table, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar, you coming out second round pick, all right? Coming from, Lamar, South Carolina, 40 minutes away from Mullins, South Carolina. I mean, I've been through that area through a gas station when I went to Miami going down 95. So I know how it looks like. Ain't nothing coming out from that area. You putting them on the map, right? How does that make you feel, man? I mean, I gotta bring when I bring you on, I gotta talk about the whole tree. So how was that, man? How was it coming out from a small area and making a name for yourself in the league?
It was a blessing from God, actually. My hometown is a very small hometown, one traffic light, maybe 1,000 people at the very most. And, back when I got recruited, there's no recruiting service, no internet, no anything. So basically, I got discovered. I was playing a playoff game, and I remember my high school coach coming up to me and saying, there's some recruiters out here, but they're not here for you. And he really knew how I was and how competitive I was. So I was like, oh, okay. Went out, had a terrific game. And my first letter was from the University of South Carolina. Then the next week, Clemson University reached out to me. And it was kind of on from there. And that's kind of how I got recruited. They thought I was a really good athlete. Probably not the size, really, for a linebacker, but very athletic. I played basketball, ran track. You're from the country like that, man. You're from a rural area. You basically do everything to get out of chores and to get out of church. So I played all sports to kind of get out of those responsibilities. And it went really well with me. The Clemson staff really recruited me pretty well. I decided to go Clemson. It was a good move for me. And I was the guy that had to be developed. I didn't know what cover 2 was. We just played ball,
Right.
See ball, go get ball. That's how I was. But it worked out for me. And I really enjoyed my time there. And that's kind of how it happened.
I mean, Clemson, people know you from Clemson. I mean, people who are from South Carolina. I mean, matter of fact, I got one of my guys who works with me. He's from South Carolina. He knows your name from Clemson.
Right,
you were a big time Clemson player, man. How was the college career, and how did that mold you to the NFL?
Oh, wow. When I went there, the great thing was my parents really instilled hard work. So for me, football really wasn't that hard. I mean, yeah, you had to run sprints, you had to lift, but I truly enjoyed playing the game. So it wasn't a hard game for me. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. And one of the coaches when I was there, you got to understand I wasn't highly recruited, and I doubted the head coach knew who I was when I first got there. But one of the grad assistants, he came to me. He was watching me work out, and he basically was like, "You know what? If you keep working the way you're working, you're going to be one of the best linebackers ever played here." And most people refuse when someone gives you a compliment. Most people refuse that compliment. But I was like, "Yeah, cool. I could be one of the best linebackers ever played here." And I just worked and worked, and guys would tell me to slow down, but I was just like, "You're gonna have to play on my level. I'm not slowing down for anybody," because I got redshirted my first year, did not play, practice all the time. And if you know anything about me, I'm just not a bit. I just could not go through another year not playing. I don't
Right.
think it was special teams, whatever. I was gonna get on that field. I was gonna end up playing. But what happened was one of the starting linebackers got hurt. I ended up starting my second game that redshirt year, and we kind of flip flop. And then maybe the last 3 games, I end up being the full time starter. I was just making plays, man. I was messing up the whole time. I
Right.
wasn't.
Right.
I was making mistakes the whole time, but I was hustling to the ball. I was making plays. And then my redshirt sophomore year, Gene Chizik, who was the defensive coordinator for North Carolina, head coach for Auburn, was a GA there. And I just went to Gene. I just said, "Hey man, can you help me out because I want to be a great player, but my coach at the time, the way he coached, he did a lot of yelling, and I didn't mind the yelling. It wasn't that, but I just wanted to know the why I was doing something. Why am I dropping on the flat? Why am I rushing? Why do I have to spiel this guy, squeeze this guy?" And Gene Chizik really took out some time for me, and we just kind of went over the game. And that very next year, I was so much I was so much of a better player. I understood the game. I understood what we were doing on defense. I rarely made mistakes, and I ended up being all conference that year. And it just kind of it just kind of progressed from there. Really did. Just kind of
Sure.
progressed. Yeah. So I really think that just being from a good background from my family standpoint, but also being a good atmosphere like Clemson really helped me develop as a really good player.
You playing for the Steelers, right? Coming to the Steelers, and you know the people, what type of players were there at that time. How was that? And also, what do you think the difference is from the Steelers when you played and the Steelers now?
Ooh. Well, when I first arrived at Pittsburgh, it was the first year Bill Cowher arrived as well. They were going to switch me from playing outside linebacker, defensive end that I played at Clemson to the inside linebacker position. I
Right.
never played inside linebacker in my life. So I had Marvin Lewis at the time, who was a young Marvin Lewis, and he really coached me pretty hard. And I didn't mind being coached, but man, sometimes it was just like Marvin, man, he just kept grinding you. I would take one of the things that when I first got there as an inside linebacker, I would really take a little hit step, a little false step. And boy, he would get on me about my false step. I could make a play in the backfield. It didn't matter. He would get on me about that. But the cool thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers was not only the coaching staff, we had Don Capers, Dick LeBeau, Marvin Lewis, John Mitchell, but we also had great players like Rod Woodson, Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd, Carnell Lake. So I was surrounded with some great players. Chad Brown, Kevin Green as well. And when you have great players, man, they just want. I mean, when you're around that kind of atmosphere, you either want to I think you take ownership and you try to get better and you try to play on the level that those guys are playing. And being with the Steelers, man, was great, great atmosphere. It was, Mr. Rooney. I really believe that they did a good job of trying to surround the team with winners. Bill Carr was so demanding and positive at the same time. He was a good players coach. And it was just a good situation. And I was fortunate. I tell guys a lot of time, man, you gotta sometimes it's going to the right place. Going to the right place, going to the coach that can help you go beyond what you could before. And Hugh is a great example of a great coach that can help you get to that next level. Because the one thing about the NFL, and a lot of times people they think about players, they think about them being arrogant, they're whatever like that, but those guys are probably the most driven guys, some of the most intelligent guys who want to get better. But if you're a coach and you don't know what you're talking about, they would not listen to you.
Hmm.
They will not listen to you. But if you know what you're talking about and you helping them get better, they will lean on your every word. They would do everything you ask them to do because they know it's going to benefit them. So I was just fortunate enough to be a place where we had great players, great coach, great ownership, and that legacy of Pittsburgh, especially with the linebackers, you just took ownership of that. And I wanted to be just as good or mentioned in the name of like Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, Merriweather, David Little. I wanted to be in that category because the linebacker lineage at Pittsburgh is something ridiculous. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And I was just fortunate to be in the right place at the right time.
I mean, you definitely was a part of it. I mean, people in Pittsburgh are still wearing your jerseys out there, man. You was a part of it. You made a name for yourself, and not only that, man, you was linebacker coach for a while at Florida A&M, and you went for the with the Cardinals for a while and coaching there too. So, hey, man, you got it made. But now here comes the nitty gritty.
Hmm.
Why we all here for?
Okay.
The Steeler fans. Okay, there was a couple of rough years with Mr. Pickett. He's out the door now. That boy's gone, right? And we got some new familiar faces in the building. Well, we got to start from the free agency pickups, right? Patrick Crean, linebacker, signing a 3-year, $41 million deal. Levon, you're the right guy to grade that because you're a linebacker yourself. What do you think about that pickup?
It's a good pickup. It was a real good pickup because for the last few years, I don't think they really had the inside guys that they kind of always had.
All right.
And in a 3-4 scheme, those inside linebackers are so important, along with the nose guard, as far as stopping any runs that are in between the two tackles. The inside backers of the 3-4, they not only have to be great run stoppers, they got to be smart. They got to be good in pass coverage. So in that scheme, in the 3-4 scheme, that triangle of nose guard and inside backers, they have to be on point. And they had that figured out for a long time. And then sometimes, you draft guys and they just don't really fit in. And I think that's what happened with the Steelers. But I think you're starting at a good point by getting Patrick Queen. He's a quality player. And I think that was a great pickup for him. Now,
For sure.
do you know what's going to happen? No, I mean, I'm not a future. I mean, I don't really predict the future, but it makes a lot of sense, especially somebody that you can bring in from a rival standpoint. And Pittsburgh and Baltimore are kind of mirror images of football programs or organizations. And I thought Patrick, I thought I almost, I mean, I gave him a data boy because I thought that was a good pickup. I really did.
For Coach Hugh, what you think?
Oh no, I thought it was awesome. I agree with Levon. I mean, he's coming from a 3-4 scheme into a 3-4 scheme. He's a tackling machine. I agree with him. They haven't had the consistent player that played linebacker. They had got really good defensive end, great defensive end, nose. Obviously Watts, as good as there is rushing the passer, they just haven't had that guy to see ball, go get ball. And now they have him. So it's going to make him better.
I mean, yeah, my boy Cole Holcomb. I think the mullet was slowing him down. The last couple years. That's my dude, and he went with the Steelers, but unfortunately got hurt. But man, Patrick Queen is that guy, and I think that's an A+ pickup, to be honest. And
Mhm.
DeShon Elliot, another guy, signs a 2-year deal for $6 million. I mean, hey, they're making the defense. Steelers, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. You guys already know. The most consistent organization, I would say, in the NFL. Right? I mean, they haven't had a losing season since 2003. I mean, that tells you something, but something is not clicking. We'll try to diagnose what is going on, you know. And, they also let go of Deontay Johnson. I mean, I don't know. To me, that was kind of flimsy. What you think, guys? Letting go a receiver like that, what do you guys think?
I'll tackle it first. I think sometimes as fans or sometimes as outsiders, we see a talented guy and you think, why would you get rid of someone with that kind of talent?
Hmm.
But also, you got to look at not only just the talent, but the reliability. Can we trust this guy? Is he going to be what we want representing our football team?
Right.
And sometimes guys who are immensely talented that way, sometimes they really don't buy in, and they become more of a distraction. And the thing about having one of the talented guys being a distraction, that's hard for that locker room. It
Right.
is because now you got guys who are leaning toward him as a leader, and then you got some are leaning toward the team. And really, you're dividing the team. So sometimes you just have to understand, even though a player is a great player, when to cut bait and when to let that guy go, especially if he's not, I don't want to say falling in line, but if he's not being a professional. You gotta say like, hey, do we let this talent go? And it's hard to let good talent go because it's hard to find great talent. And so sometimes you just have to cut bait. And sometimes you have to move on. And that's what the Steelers are doing. They're moving on from a guy that really didn't take ownership of having that black and gold on.
Hmm. I see. Coach Hugh, what do you think?
Oh no, he said it. I mean, you people don't know the inner workings of a building and exactly the day to day, how a player can affect not just games, but the locker room, coaches, everything. So I'm sure they took everything into effect. And so when you let a player go like that, it's either you felt like there was somebody better in a draft, or you thought you could better your football team in some way or another. So that's what the Steelers did, and that's what they stand for. So anytime they make those decisions, I think they're making them for the right reasons because most teams don't give away talent, as Levon said. You keep talent. But when you think a talent can be a distraction, you got to get rid of it.
Yeah, and I mean, they definitely got rid of it, but I don't know about the talent they brought in, Mr. Van Jefferson. Okay, the deal, 1-year deal. They ain't tell about the amount yet, which is good because if the amount is crazy, I'd probably lose my mind paying that much for Van Jefferson. I mean, the guy's gonna come in. Is he gonna make some noise? I'm not really sure. But they only got George Pickens there. They definitely need to get another legit wide receiver to help, who the quarterback is going to be. And this is a big discussion. Who will be the starting quarterback? We're going to get to that in a little while. But, we got to talk about Arthur Smith. No new offensive coordinator. We all know what he did with the Falcons last year. Not good at all. That boy Bijan punching the air. He's happy as hell that boy gone. But how do you think his connection gonna be with Mike Tomlin? Coach Hugh, very close with Tomlin. Levon, you was with Mike Tomlin a couple weeks ago. How do you think they're gonna link up, and how do you think their chemistry gonna be?
Mike hired him. At the end of the day, that's the most important part. Nobody told Mike, you have to hire this guy. So Mike did his due diligence and felt like he was going to help the Steelers be better. So I would say to Steeler fans, you got to ride with that. For what Mike wants to do with the football team, he felt like Arthur was the best fit. And so that's who he hired. And so Mike is going to be a Hall of Fame coach. So he's made decisions that's either going to help him or hurt him. But I think Mike knows what he wants and how he wants it, and that's what he went and got.
For sure. What do you think, Levon?
Well, from my perspective, I've been around Mike Tomlin a couple of times, just spent some time with him a few weeks ago when he came to the pro day at Clemson University. And I met him and talked to him before that. And I'm telling you, as a Bill Cowher guy, I've been under Andy Reid, Mike Holmgren. Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the NFL by far. And you don't get to be the best coach just by twiddling your thumbs and not knowing what you're doing. He's an incredible CEO, an incredible leader of men. And so when you have such a dynamic personality in person, you have to trust in what he's going to do. And if he makes that hire, like Coach said, oh, he did his homework. He did his homework. And just because he wasn't a great head coach doesn't mean he's a bad football guy. You know, sometimes it doesn't work out. Like I said, sometimes you have to go to the right situation where the ownership, the GM, and the coaches are working on the same level. Sometimes you don't always have that. And when you don't have that, sometimes you can just go crazy because there's not one vision, one mission. In Pittsburgh, you know there's one vision, one mission. So he's going to come in. I think he's probably going to do a great job, a good job. And but you got to trust in Mike Tomlin in what he has done. I mean, the man can't win a Super Bowl every single year. I think sometimes we have a great football history. Sometimes fans and everybody else is a little spoiled. And they don't realize, man, it's a tough game. And sometimes it's just not your year, no matter what you do. It really, to win a Super Bowl, so many factors, so many variables have to work out for you. And sometimes it doesn't always. But from my perspective, I think Mike Tomlin is one of the best. I think Coach Jackson is right. He will be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. And I just trust his decision. And, we'll see what happens when the season goes along. But if Mike Tomlin made that decision, just like if Coach Hue Jackson made that decision, I trust that decision, and we're going to run with it.
And now this decisions that came out a couple weeks ago, sign Russell Wilson. Wow. I mean, honestly, I'm like, man, this guy needs to make a TikTok account with his wife and go ahead and enjoy the rest of his life, man. But this boy, Coach Hue, I mean, I don't know. Apparently got some in his tank. But that boy was making, listen, I'm going to tell you what happened last year, man. That boy was throwing those dimes like John Elway. And that boy, Cortland's son, was making him look like John Elway. I mean, that boy was catching those footballs with his pinkies, man. And Russell Wilson, man, got at least 10 touchdowns for these random throws he made. And Cortland's son went down with the ball. I mean, listen. I honestly think when they signed Russell Wilson, I was like, okay, I don't know. But here comes Justin Fields. And I'm going to tell you, man, Russell Wilson probably itching. He is itching like, man, what's going on now? Guys, who do you guys think is going to be the end up as a starting quarterback when the season starts? Do you guys think it's going to be Justin Fields? Do you guys think it's going to be Russell Wilson? What do you think is going to happen there? And Hugh, I got to go with you first.
Well, obviously, Russell Wilson is he's a veteran player. He's had a lot of success, won Super Bowls, didn't cost the Steelers a lot of money. So you're betting on a veteran player that was out there that you could get. I don't know that they knew they could get Justin Fields when they acquired, my guy from Denver. I don't know that they knew that. But now here comes this very talented player who I think is one of the most talented players in the league, and Justin Fields, who I think is just his trajectory is going up. He's a younger player, younger legs. He's going to make tremendous plays just like Russell Wilson used to make. with his legs. So I think it's going to be very unbelievable competition. I think Mike will handle that right as well. I think that's what they've been missing. Obviously, when you lose Ben Roethlisberger and you don't transition to the next guy, whatever that is, you got to make sure that you have enough guys in the room. So I understand that. You got to make sure you have a guy that can play at a high level week in and week out. But they got a veteran player who's done it, and they got a young player that's very, very talented.
I mean, do you think, they're going to start with Russell and might end up putting Fields in later in the season? Is that what you think, Coach Hue?
That's what it sounds like. I mean, Mike's come out and said that it's Russell Wilson's job, and that Justin's got to come in and compete and beat him out.
Levon, what do you think?
Well, I really believe that the Steelers did a tremendous job of getting Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson is a quality quarterback. Russell Wilson can get the job done. I've coached against him when he was with the Seattle Seahawks. He can flat out play. I remember him playing at NC State. People didn't really give him a big time shot, but this guy can flat out get it done. And I still think he has something in the tank that he gives them a lot of value. He gives them a quarterback that now players, and this is an important part, I think, when you have that accomplished quarterback, receivers, they trust it a little bit more. The offensive line, they trust a little bit more. He'll be able to command those guys up and down the field. So Russell Wilson alone was a great pickup. Really was. Then you add Justin Fields to it. I don't know if they're seeing what me and Coach Jackson are seeing in Justin Fields. Justin Fields has the ability to be a great quarterback. Now, remember when I said that a lot of times it's about the atmosphere. It's about the environment. And when you go to the wrong environment, man, it can point your career south very soon. And nowadays, they want these quarterbacks, they want these players, they want them to start right away and take them to the Super Bowl. At one point in time, a quarterback, it would take you 4 or 5 years to really be good and to come in and step in, but we don't really give these guys that kind of chance. And then when they fall on their faces, oh, he's not good, he's blah, blah, blah. And that's when sometimes some coaches are not taking the responsibility of helping him develop as a player. They'll be quick to point the finger like, oh, he's no good. When it's probably some of their coaching that's not good. I see Justin Fields, what I've seen, I think the guy works hard. I think he really tried. I just thought he was in a terrible situation in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. I'm not in that building, so I don't know the particulars, but sometimes you can tell. You can tell when somebody's not in a great situation, that is not working for them for whatever reason. I think you bring in Justin Fields, it renews his career. Think about Jerome Bettis. Everybody before Jerome Bettis got to us, everybody said Jerome Bettis was a bust with the Rams. Mm-hmm. They said that he was a bust. Now, I played against Jerome Bettis. I knew better. I'm like, I couldn't believe that we got him for a 4th round pick. Jerome Bettis. He comes to Pittsburgh. It's the offense that he needs. It works out for him. He ends up being this incredible player. But people don't realize his first couple of years, the Rams, who are a bad organization, thought he was a bust. The head coach thought that Jerome Bettis could not get it done. And we, at the Pittsburgh Steelers, we scooped him up. And he ends up running for all these yards, ends up getting the Super Bowl, being one of the most historic players in Pittsburgh. I'm not saying that could happen to Justin Fields, but boy, the stories are similar.
And I mean, Levon, if you was in Tomlin's shoes, week 1, who would you put up as a starting quarterback for the Steelers?
I probably would most likely go with Russell Wilson.
Okay.
And you tell Justin and you be honest with him and you say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is our plan. but you keep preparing like the starter because you never know, especially in this league, you never know when you're going to need someone, when someone has to step up. So
Right.
I will probably go with Russell until it's time for Justin to come in.
Coach Hue, what you think?
Oh no, I think I agree with Levon, but it'd be hard for me not to see what this young player can do, just because he's so talented. But he's the future of the Steelers. He really is, and so I think it's the atmosphere is going to be right for him. Mike's going to make it right for him, and they're going to play to his strengths. So I think it's going to be good for him.
You know, the Steelers draft is going to be pick 20 in the first round. Coach Hue, what do you think the position they should aim for to get?
I think they're going to be looking for a receiver. I really do. I think a receiver and offensive alignment is something they need to make sure they get better at.
I really believe that what Coach Jackson said is not wrong at all. Now, I'm at Clemson University. I would love for them to get our guy Wiggins at defensive back as a corner. He's amazing. I would love for them to get him with Joey Porter Jr. I'm telling you, Nate Wiggins is a phenomenal player. I don't know if he's going to last that long, but I would love for them to get him. But that's me being a homer, you know. But yeah, I think that Coach Jackson is right. They need somebody on the outside that can stretch the field, that will give defensive coordinators a little pause. And you always, if you can build from the inside out, it's always good. If you can protect your quarterback, protect your running game, it's always great. So, yeah, I'm looking for either probably an offensive lineman or a wide receiver. But, man, I would love if Nate Wiggins would go to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What and how will the Steelers do next year with the whole new lineup? Levon, you first.
Oh, man, I don't know. You're asking me a question that, honestly, we never know. I mean, when you're talking about predicting what some team is going to do, you really don't know because there's so many factors. Okay, so let's put it this way. If it don't get hurt, and if Russell Wilson or Justin Fields work out, I think they give people a serious run because they got a good defense. Their offense will be improved. So if you keep people from getting hurt, I think one of the quarterbacks, I think they're going to both work out. It's going to make the Steelers better. They got the running game. They got the defense. So I think they would be a lot better. Even though they haven't really been under 500, I think they'll be significantly better.
Okay. Coach Hue, what do you think?
They're going to be in the thick of it. They always are. I mean, we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They find a way, and they sneak up on you, but they're right there. And I don't think they're going to sneak up on anybody this year. They got very capable quarterbacks now. I think they're really good defensively if they can stay healthy. I think on offense, they're just going to get better and improve. And so I think their ability to go back to running the ball, playing great defense is who they're going to be, and take shots when they need to, and they're going to score a lot of points.
There we go. Hopefully, Steeler fans out there, you guys watching this video, get your hopes up, and who knows? It might be Higgins, get drafted. Who knows? And Levon Kirkland, I appreciate you coming on the podcast with me and Coach Hue. And we're going to definitely bring you back on after, the draft and see, how the Steelers did. So definitely appreciate you, Levon, and all the best to your, future endeavors as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Coach Jackson, man, it's great seeing you again, bro.
You too, buddy. You too. All right.
All right, everyone out there, go ahead and subscribe to the FFL and, more podcasts to come. See you guys next time.